Hello and welcome to Just Flying episode 30. Got the Baron out today, partly due to the fact that this is probably the aircraft where I'm most proficient at landing it. And I really didn't want to crash 3 times in a row in these Just Flying videos. So fingers crossed we'll have a slightly better outcome today than we did in the last 2. Well, yeah, right, I set custom weather with airport preview videos so you can see them better. But Just Flying episodes get whatever real world weather throws at me unless it's completely unflyable. And today, as you can see, the weather's not that great with low cloud. And the plan is to go north to XNZRI Ratihi. However, as the ground is going to rise up to meet the cloud, I'm not going to guarantee we'll end up there. If everything goes completely wrong, then I could always turn on the avionics, and New Plymouth has a VOR. So that's my in case of emergencies alternate, and I can convert this to an IFR flight and get in there. But we'll see what happens, and I will try the original first, and keep your fingers crossed there's a gap between the cloud and the terrain by the time we get there. Wave goodbye to Wanganui, which is famous for having me stay there for a night in 2011. Strange looking at it from the air, as it didn't feel that big when I was there. What I mean by that is Christchurch, for instance. The sort of central area around the cathedral and the shops and all that, it doesn't cover a huge footprint on the ground, but somehow it feels like it's part of a very large city. Somehow Wanganui just didn't feel very big, or certainly not as big as it actually is when you look at it from the air. Well, thinking about it for size, I went there when I was travelling on intercity buses, and the bus stop was quite a walk from my hotel, and a long enough walk where I stopped for a break halfway actually. I didn't have a suitcase, as I thought it would be easier to travel if I got a backpack, and that would be better to wander around with. I already had a small one, and for the first trip I bought a bigger one as well. With the small backpack I could put my arms through the straps forward, so that hangs in front of me, and have the big backpack worn the right way round on my back. Having one each side, they help to balance each other out, they're quite comfortable, and you don't really notice the weight at all, so that's great. Yeah, so carrying everything wasn't really the reason for the break halfway. It's more to do with when I arrived, it was about midday, the sun was out, it was lovely and warm, and usually that would be great news. But with some of my luggage strapped to the front of me and the rest of it strapped to the back of me, I'm essentially wearing all of my clothes in one go. So the break was just to take off the backpacks for a bit and cool down. I was so hot and sweaty by the time I did get to the hotel. I checked in, and first thing I did was have a cold shower. Yeah, the other bit of Dazza fame that Wanganui has is that it's one of only 2 places outside of the UK where I've had a haircut. Christchurch in 2010, and Wanganui joined that list in 2011. I mean, you've seen me and my head, so haircuts are nice and easy, electric clippers, short as you can all over, so you can't mess that up, and I've got no issues with the haircut I've got in the end. I do, however, have issues with my timing. When I walked into the shop, 3 people were working there cutting hair. Nobody was waiting, so it was take a seat and wait for the first one to finish and they would get me. Now, of these 3 people, the first was a fairly young blonde woman with a cute smile, and she was very nice indeed. The next one was a woman who had an incredibly large pair of boobs that didn't seem far away from making a break for freedom from her low-cut top. And that's why I mentioned that timing wasn't great, because in the end I got the third person, who was a slightly overweight middle-aged man. Great. As for the city itself, I remember it being very pretty there, and I enjoyed a good wander around, and I'm glad I had a visit. But I left the next morning, one day was probably enough. Nice, but nothing too exciting. Well, that visit was well before I got X-Plane, so if ever there was a third trip, then I might go back and take a wander over towards the airport. Although these days I'd probably do that in a lot of places and go and have a visit to some other airfields too. As looking back on where I have been, I was very close to some of them. But obviously I wasn't making scenery back then, so it wasn't something I even thought about. But never mind. Internet and a bit of help from some locals, and we're doing okay for airports, aren't we? I don't know if this is correct, but with the Lindemann Ortho and all the airport scenery we have, it wouldn't surprise me if New Zealand wasn't the most complete country in the X-Plane universe. Obviously some of you know that because you use X-Plane to fly in your home country, and a few others from different parts of the world have discovered it along the way. But there is a part of me that quite likes the fact that it's a hidden little gem that not too many people know about. Yeah, that's going to be annoying. It's currently dark here, but still warm enough to have doors and windows open, and a moth has just flown into the room. Smaller things I can ignore, and my behind the desk spider can probably deal with a few of them anyway. As for moths, I don't know how large moths can get in other countries, but for a British moth, this is a big one. A very big one. I'll probably be okay for the rest of the flight, but after that he's gonna have to go. And my apologies to animal rights people, because he's not going to get safely rehomed to a natural habitat. This is going to be underpants time. Which I suppose I should explain, as that probably sounded very weird. I've got an old pair of underpants, a couple of little holes in them, and it was time for them to retire. But rather than throw them away, they now live just at the side of my desk where I can easily reach them. And then if you hold them by one end, with a well executed flick of the wrist, you can get quite a large area of underpant moving at very high speed, and they are quite successful at swatting flies. A fly can get out of the way quick enough if you just use your hand, but the added area of underpant is obviously bigger than the emergency escape range that a fly can manage. And as moths are nowhere near that quick, then it should be a fairly easy job to get rid of this guy. What might not be such an easy job is trying to fly a plane, as this terrain is rising up to meet the cloud, and I'm getting less confident that we're going to get all the way to our destination safely. We've got a bit of room to fly in. That's not looking great, is it? Although things are clearing up a bit, aren't they? It's just patchy broken cloud. Keep your fingers crossed. And hopefully there's not a patch sitting over the airfield. Not too far to go now, as I've got my moving map to navigate with, so we might be okay. May be able to see where we're going on final approach. Yeah, that's the town of Rati ahead. Thinking of the same theme of the last video, I'm now having a vague memory of somebody telling me I'd pronounced that wrong too, in my preview video for the airport there. So apologies if it is still wrong, as it's a bit late to look it up now. Yes, we're almost there. Airfield's just slightly over to our left over there. That's a large patch of cloud, exactly where I didn't want it to be. I don't need too much visibility, as I've got the moving map to point me at the airfield, and I remember the visual clues of what it looks like. So I don't need to see too far ahead to be able to land here, as long as we can squeeze under the cloud. And if it suddenly goes all very grey out of the window, it's going to be time to give up. Yeah, that's cloud right down to the ground ahead of us, isn't it? I'm not hopeful here, must admit. Nope. Climb and escape. Yeah, so we're not going to Ratihi today after all then. That's a shame, but such is life. If Mother Nature doesn't want to be nice to us, then yeah, time to give up on that one. As I did say the intention was to not crash 3 times in a row, so let's try and be sensible for once. Don't get my sensible hat out very often, but yeah, we will do today. Keep climbing and see where the top of this cloud is. There we go. Okay then, so I'm thinking broken cloud, so there should be a few holes in it, even though there doesn't appear to be any holes at the moment. But rather than head for New Plymouth straight away, let's head north just a little bit, because fairly close to here is National Park Airfield and also Chateau Airfield as well. We'll have a quick look there first, just in case things are better. And you never know, we might be able to hold on a minute. Sorry about that, the bleeping was my alarm to tell me my dinner was ready. Sausage egg chips. Very nice indeed. Enjoyed that. And as the flight was on a quick pause, I took the opportunity to make a new cup of coffee as well. So that should keep me going until we land, hopefully. Yeah, who knows, we might be flying an ILS into Auckland if everything goes completely wrong. That's a 2 cup of coffee distance at very least, probably 3. Right, moth just flew into the side of my head. He's definitely not getting humanely rehomed. Got the moving map to tell us roughly where we are. We'll carry on north just a little bit. You never know, we might be able to find a hole to descend underneath the cloud again somewhere. And if that's in the rough area of National Park or Chateau, then we can possibly get in there. It's close enough for a little look anyway. And if we can't. Such is life, we'll head over to New Plymouth instead. Yeah, we've got that as our final backup plan, so we'll be able to land somewhere at very least. Just looking at this cloud cover now, it's not looking great, is it? Not sure we are going to find a hole anywhere. We'll use the moving map just to put us over the top of where National Park is first, and it's fairly close. Hold on. Is that a hole in the cloud? Could be. Looks probably big enough to descend through. Actually, that's going to be roughly the spot where National Park actually is. Yeah, looks like we'll be able to get down and underneath everything, doesn't it? So, yeah, for the location, this could actually be the luckiest hole in the clouds I've ever seen. No low cloud there, is there? Oh, that's about perfect. It's over there. That is National Park, and I can even see the runway. Yeah, that worked out quite well. Little bit too much altitude. We can extend our flying distance, fly a little S shape if need be. More distance equals more time to lose some height. Actually, we're not too bad really, are we? I think I should be able to deal with that okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. yeah, original airport failure. Plan B, that worked out quite well. And quite a nice airport scenery too, so I've got no problem with landing here. Yep, looking good. Quite a long float, but well, we're down at least. And oh crap, brakes, lots of brakes, even more brakes. Oh crap. Oh Jesus Christ. Yeah, I know there was quite a long float, so I didn't land very early. But for some reason, I got it into my head this was a really long runway. So there wasn't an urgent need to get onto the brakes. However, it seems there was an urgent need to get onto the brakes. And I'm now parked in a bush. Brilliant. Yeah, so that's episode 30 and third crash in a row. I'll give you, I'll see you for the next one. Where's my underpants? Right, you little flying twat, where are you?